Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/PettyRevenge. In today's episode, apparently booking a seat on a train is not a real booking if someone else decides to sit there. My guidance counselor told me I wasn't university material, and years later I pretended not to know her. Ice cream man stiffed my kid. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Apparently booking a seat on a train is not a real booking if someone else decides to sit there. I was traveling from Edinburgh to London by train and had a booked window seat with a table. I got on the train to find 4 guys sitting at the table. The one in my seat that was clearly marked as booked refused to move as he was with his friends and the train was packed. The ticket collector passed and I asked him to help. He asked the guy to move, but he refused, and somehow that was that. So what now? I asked. You can find another seat, but I have no power to move him, only the police and move him, and they will not turn up just to move someone out of a seat. There were no seats free in the carriage and probably not many free on the train, so standing to London was a possibility. I'm going to take a seat in first class, better surroundings, power sockets, and free tea and coffee. You can't sit there, you don't have a booking. Well, you could call the police to move me, but apparently they won't turn out to move someone out of a seat. I had a lovely trip with power for my laptop and a wide comfy seat. How do the staff not have the authority though? You agree to follow their instructions when you buy a ticket. Doesn't seem like they should require police to enforce basic rules. I used to work on the train from Belfast to Dublin. The conductor would not let the train leave if someone was breaking the rules, aka walk into first class, harass staff, etc. Many times the police would be waiting at the next stop. It sucks for other passengers, but that makes their walk of shame even more enjoyable. And because your seat was not available, you can reclaim part of the ticket cost, I think. In my country, the ticket collector would have thrown the guy out of the train, lol. I once had to argue a guy out of my reserved seat on a packed train. He was pretty aggro but did move eventually. Shortly afterwards, I gave it up to a pregnant lady. The guy was super angry after that. Revenge and free tea? This is what dreams are made of. My guidance counselor told me I wasn't university material, and years later I pretended not to know her. I know it doesn't sound much like revenge, but it was oh so sweet, let me tell you. Back in high school, I struggled hard. I had a stepdad who adopted me and then ignored me my whole life, and a mom who was wrapped up in making his life perfect. Yeah, he was what some might call a textbook narcissist, with my mom as his flying monkey, Wizard of Oz reference. Anyway, school was a difficult time for me, and I had a lot of anxiety and a hard time focusing. I attended all my classes, and was always doing very well on my assignments, but had trouble completing them. My guidance counselor was the same all through high school, and every year would start with a meeting with her, and I would explain I needed more help, because I was struggling to focus. She brushed me off every time, stating that I obviously wasn't trying hard enough because I had no excuse, since my stepdad, adopted dad, was, wait for it, a social worker for the school board and personal friend of hers. Yeah, it was awful. At the end of high school, we had our obligatory meeting about what colleges/universities or trade schools to apply to. I told her I was interested in psychology and would like to be a counselor or to teach psychology. This woman scoffed. Literally scoffed at me. She said, and I quote, "Please do not apply to university. It would be a huge disappointment for you. You are not university material, and you may be better with a community college or even certificate in administration." Now, let me say there is nothing wrong with going to community college or getting a certificate in something. Nothing at all. But this woman's words would haunt me my whole life. I wanted to pursue something I was very interested in, and she essentially told me I wasn't smart enough or capable enough to do it. Fast forward to my late 20s. I worked at a variety of small jobs here and there and became very depressed. I finally decided one day that F***ck it, I'm applying for university. Well, I got in and I graduated with honors. So I went to Teachers College for another bachelor degree. Again, graduated with honors. And about 5 years ago, I finally finished my master's in behavioral psychology. 2 years ago, stepdad died, and who was at the visitation? My old guidance counselor. She came right over and started talking to me immediately like she knew me, like we're old friends. I cut her off and said, "I'm so sorry, you must be confusing me with someone else." She looked absolutely shocked and said I was your guidance counselor. For 4 years. And I just shook my head and gave the best blank look I could give, shrugged, and said, "Sorry, I honestly don't remember you." When I left, she looked a bit confused and disappointed. I think she had hoped for me to have all of these good memories of her, how helpful she was to me as a teen. But nope. I wanted her to feel that she was nothing to me. Had zero effect, even though she did affect me, I wasn't letting her know that. I felt pretty good about that. Edit, to anyone wondering, I now teach psychology to future counselors. So I'm doing what I originally wanted, and that made this so much sweeter. Second edit, my mom had run into her a few times at the grocery store before this, and has bragged about my accomplishments, so I didn't have to tell her about them, she knew I was successful. Since she already knew, I pretended she was nobody to me, to ensure she understood she contributed nothing. Also, those who say she helped me in the end, and she was right. No. I asked her to help me for 4 years and got nothing. She laughed at my dreams and goals. She did not do her job. She failed as a guidance counselor and, frankly, also as a decent human being. Third edit, wow, thank you for all of the encouraging words. You guys are awesome. It sounds like this touched a nerve for a lot of people. It makes me sad how many people were treated like this too. I'd love to expand on my story more, but I wouldn't know where to do that. I'm just glad this post was able to inspire some people to achieve their dreams in spite of the adults who said they couldn't. To the haters who still want to argue, but she helped you, you know. I'm motivated and helped myself. How dare you try to diminish my hard work by saying this woman who failed me was helping? Shame on you for saying that. Bullies aren't motivational tools, they're just tools. Evil genius. Playing the long game. It was extremely satisfying, lol. My son's teachers told me he would be lucky to graduate high school, he would need to live in a group home and forget about college. He was mostly deaf due to frequent ear infections, and because he couldn't hear, he didn't speak, so they assumed he was dumb. We were able to get him ear tunes when he was 3, but he was so far behind his peers that all his special ed teachers concurred with the school teachers. His second grade teacher called me in the first week of school and asked me to discontinue all the special ed help he was getting, minus the speech therapy which he still needed. This guy told me my son was unusually smart and didn't need all that extra stuff. He begged for 1 semester to prove to me that my son could keep up or surpass his classmates. I gave it to him, and by the end of the school year, he was doing 5th grade math, 6th grade reading, and accelerated science classes. I was floored. This kid ended up graduating 12th in his class and went to college. He got his bachelor's and is now working on his master's degree. He lives in a group home with his wife, 2 kids, 1 oversized cat, and a myriad of relatives that come to visit all the time. All because one teacher believed in him. That teacher passed away not too long ago, and I know my son talked to him and told him how much he helped him. I hope that man heard that from a lit of other kids he helped. He deserves his angel wings. And the best part? My son sees a lot of his pre-second grade teachers and makes a point to let them know what he is doing in school. I love that kid. Good for you. She wanted kudos for a job well done, and you showed her she wasn't worth remembering. Oh look, it's a former student of mine. She did well thanks to me. I should go over and pat both our backs. Lady, I don't even know you, let alone remember you. Soul and ego crushed. This was a beauty. Police should tape the area off, there's been a murder. You showed her. Also, it really pisses me off that a guidance counselor refused to be encouraging to a student for years. Does she hate her job? Does she hate kids? Because she's doing everyone a disservice to everyone by being in that profession. Good luck to you. She was horrible. I'm sorry she made you pause, and it's so awesome you still went after your dreams. Even for people who aren't naturally gifted/quick to learn, that can be compensated by increased dedication. No excuse for her. Ice cream man stiffed my kid. My kid ran outside to get an ice cream from the ice cream man. Kiddo returned a little sad. I asked what was wrong. She said, I asked the ice cream man for my change. He gave me this lollipop and drove off before I could say anything. My kid doesn't like lollipops. Even if she did, it wouldn't have been a fair trade, not by a long shot. Anyway, I drove over to Costco and bought a few boxes of ice cream bars. For the next few weeks, my kid shared ice cream with all of the kids on our side of the neighborhood. My kid made some new friends, and no one on our side of the neighborhood bought from the ice cream man during that time. Unintended side effect, when we ran out, other parents started chipping in and provided snacks for the kids who played outside. Yikes, that guy's a jerk. But it sounds like you've made some friends in the neighbor pitching in on treats and sharing with each other. A lollipop for change? Yeah, no, I would be hot. How do lollipops and ice cream go together? In the show My Name is Earl, Joy is ripped off by the ice cream man, so every week she uses a mega horn to shout about it while he's trying to sell ice cream, lol. When I was a little kid, I heard the ice cream truck, so I stole $20 out of mom's wallet. The ice cream man put the change in an envelope for me to take home. When I was a kid, me and my siblings/friends chased the ice cream man for 3 whole blocks. I know he saw us, but refused to stop and did not stop anywhere else on those blocks. A few weeks later, I heard my mom and neighbor talking about how the guy had been arrested for selling drugs out his truck. You and your neighbors did good. I grew up in a Mexican mafia neighborhood. One of our ice cream men tried to pull this with all the kids. Most of them were too young to realize it was wrong, but I was a money-obsessed 5-year-old and I complained to anyone who would listen. Not long after, some of those kids' older brothers beat the shit out of the guy and gave away most of what was in his truck at the time. Don't mess around in the barrio, I guess. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.